Good morning. Buongiorno. It's Tom Padula from Insegna Booksellers and TomPadulaTV on YouTube. And this morning is the turn of Italian lesson number 56, or podcast or presentation, whatever you want to call it. And today is the Tuesday, the 29th of November, 2022. So by next week, we'll be in the last month of the year, and Christmas, of course. And I'm happy to say that, another 4 lessons, and this particular journey of mine with Italian lessons, the first journey, because there will be another journey afterwards in terms of Italian, the teaching of Italian and the learning of Italian and things Italian, basically. But I'm going to start to finish at lesson 60 because I want them to be available to you in insegna.com and also on YouTube as well, and tompadula.blogspot.com. So, of course, and with Facebook, of course. Where I come live. Now, if anyone comes to listen to me when I actually present them for the first time, I actually welcome them by reading their names. But there are a lot of people who then come afterwards and look at and listen to what I have to say. I'm not quite sure because not many people actually put their comments. I would like comments in relation to the lessons that I've given so far, even from lesson 1. As eventually you'll be able to do those because they're there. I don't have to repeat them again, and that's where I can come in then personally with you. If you want to learn Italian or you want to have a chat with me about the language, you want conversational classes, whatever you want, I'm here at Insegna Booksellers and I'm available. So provided I have the time and you have the time and we come to an agreement. That's it. That's one reflection. The other reflection is that I've done La Divina Commedia. I'm doing La Divina Commedia and I'm up to next Sunday. It'll be Canto 20 of Purgatorio. So things are moving forward that way. But Dante was also a very literate and, I would say in today's terms, he was an academic, but also with a high degree of appreciation of the reality of life. Because not only he had been a soldier, he was in politics, he worked for the state, for Florence, for a while, and then he suffered as a result as well. So, and then he was never allowed to go back to Florence after he was exiled. It's a bad, it's a life that has been tried, and wisdom as a result comes with it. And because he was a creative person as well, he gave us so much of himself through the work that he undertook. Now, when we get to 11:30, I'll start with Vita e Opera Minore di Dante. We're going to go through his life and his minor works. Okay, and before I do anything else, since we're coming to 11:30, I better have a drink. All right, here we go. All right, so that's it. I'll continue, of course, with Speak Parla Speak. We'll do some Italian history, Risorgimento, after the unification, what happened, what helped the unification of Italy along, and we'll do some songs. I'll also go back to Roman Empire, and we'll have a look at, I'll read some Latin from the amphitheatre, and also we'll talk about, there was some opposition to the games in the Colosseum. What's new? There's always opposition to something. and then we'll have a look at money in Rome. Okay, so it's 11:30 and I'm going to start. Okay, but the reading will be in like with the Dante Alighieri, the canto, and also I'll read whatever I have here in Italian in front of me, and then I will say a few words in English for those people who need a little bit of help. Okay, so Vita e opera minore di Dante, 1265-1321. Apparently, he was born in the month of May. They don't know the exact date, and he died in the month of September. Okay? So, let's look at this, biographical notes. Dante nacque a Firenze nel mese di maggio dell'anno 1265. Della sua stirpe ci ha lasciato lui stesso dei ragguagli per bocca del suo trisavolo Cacciaguida, che gli appare tra i beati del cielo di Marte in paradiso. So Cacciaguida, a relative of his, and we will learn, when we get there, we will learn about Dante from Cacciaguida, from Dante's family. Apprendiamo così che il cognome Alighieri era provenuto o dalla moglie di quel Cacciaguida, originaria della Val Padana, di Val di Po, del Pado, o da un Alighieri figlio dello stesso. Da questo era nato un Bellincione, da cui un altro Alighieri che fu padre di Dante. Quanto alla madre fu una donna bella, dignota, casata, morta ben presto. So Dante lost his mother early in life. Rimasto orfane della madre prima dei 20 anni, anche del padre. So before it was 20, he lost his father as well. Dante dovette trovarsi in difficoltà economiche, poiché la sua famiglia era nobile, ma decaduta. They didn't live in much at all. Ben poco di preciso conosciamo dei suoi anni giovanili. So we don't know very much about his early life. Okay? Forse apprese la retorica in una scuola conventuale. So, he got rhetorics and the other subjects that are important for a literary man from a convent, from schools in a convent, because the religious orders at the time, they looked after the social needs of the people. Dal canto XV dell'Inferno apprendiamo che il famoso Brunetto Latini gli andava mostrando come l'uomo si eterna, le quali parole non ci inducono ad affermare che gli impartisse un vero e proprio insegnamento. Si può forse conquistare l'immortalità con un poco di erudizione. You want to live in eternal life, but he probably said, right, and you'll remain around for a long time. And in that case, he was right, but in terms of him predicting Dante's, whether he was going to go to paradise or whatever, what he had to do to go to paradise, it's a different take on the same thing. Ma che piuttosto gli instillesse l'amore della sapienza. So he gave him love for wisdom. Dalla Vita Nuova, which is the first work of Dante, operette giovanile di Dante, ricaviamo che egli aveva imparato da se stesso l'arte del dire parole per rima. So he had learned himself how to work the words with rhymes. I tried it myself for a little while, but I thought, now what counts is, your heart. But, at the time, if you wanted to be somebody, you had to learn some things that you could use easily yourself, which weren't around. So, l'arte del dire parole per rima, che conforma alla sua elevata condizione sociale. His condizione sociale was elevata. In other words, he came from an aristocratic family and was recognized coming from a good family, in today's words. Che conforma alla sua elevata condizione sociale si esercitò nell'equitazione. So he learned how to work with with the sword, e nelle armi, and also in the use of arms, che sapeva disegnare, he could draw, ed amava la musica, and he loved music. Welcome to Calvin Thompson. Dovette apprendere, oltre che, this is the beginning of Dante Alighieri's life. It's in Italian, and I'm reading from the Italian like I did before, and just give a few words in English to explain what I'm saying. So stay with me. Dovette apprendere, oltre al latino, il provenzale e il francese. So Dante also learned Provençal and French. And of course he knew Latin, and he wrote in vulgar Italian. Not a bad guy. Fu amico di uomini insigni di quei tempi, so he was a friend of important people of those times, come Guido Cavalcanti e il musico Casella. E Guido Cavalcanti we meet, I think, in Inferno. Era un ragazzo di 9 anni quando avvertì il primo turbamento di amore alla vista di Beatrice, forse figlia di Folco Portinari, verso la quale egli serbò per tutta la vita una specie di culto religioso. So at 9 years old, he saw Beatrice, the daughter of Folco Portinari, and he fell in love with her from that early time and loved her for the rest of his life in a platonic way, because he never married her, never, he was very, it was platonic. And then she died young as well. But she's the one who accompanies him into paradise, verso la quale egli serbò. Ella però andò sposa a Simone de' Bardi, ricco banchiere di Firenze, e morì di circa 24 anni nel 1290. Now this is interesting. She was married to Simone de' Bardi. He was a rich banker in Florence, and she died at the age of 24 in 1290. So 24, she was born the year after Dante. She was 10 years old when he met her, because 1290 minus 24 is 1266. Dante was born in 1265, and he fell in love with a 10-year-old the year after, which is okay. Dante soddisfece al suo obbligo d'armi verso il comune, militando nobile qual era nella cavalleria. So he became a knight and fought on behalf of his of Florence, of the city. E nel 1289, in 1289, combatté a Campaldino. So he was a Guelph, and he fought against the Ghibellines in Arezzo, e presenziò alla resa del castello pisano di Caprona, and he presided over the defeat of the people in the castello di Caprona in Pisa. Ma la perdita di Beatrice causò in lui quel periodo di rilassatezza che va sotto il nome di traviamento. Traviamento. Wow. Da identificare. Sembra che... Okay. So, when Beatrice died, well, he would have been 23, but he still loved her, even though she was married. But when she died, it sort of shook him a bit. Durante il quale si lasciò andare ad amori di ben diversa natura. So he then followed love. He said, well, what's the use? We're going to die, so I might as well have a good time here. Welcome to Maria Jose Angerami, Costanzo, and my welcome, my niece. Ok. Durante il quale si lasciò andare ad amori di ben diversa natura ed a sollazzi mondani, stringendosi in dimesticatezza con Forese Donati, fratello di quel corso che fu acerbo nemico della fazione cui appartiene Dante. So he started living it up in society, and with women as well, okay, because he also got married, and I think he had 4 children as well. So, he sort of overcome, but the love for Beatrice never left him. Like with a lot of poets, you have a particular people that you love in life, and they come into your work. Whether you see them or not, it doesn't matter. It's that turbamento, the feeling that you have. Con Forese scambiò in tensione alcuni sonnetti burleschi e alquanto triviali che insieme a quello già citato da Cecco Angelieri costituiscono significativo documento di quel periodo che gli sarà grave il memorare. This is in Purgatorio 22. I haven't come up to it. So he said, this period in my life, I find hard to give it some recognition because I'm a little bit ashamed of what I did, but because he also wrote some realistic poems, you know, making fun of people, etc. That's what Cecco Angelieri, I mentioned it last time, a couple of lessons ago. So he says, grave di memorare. He found it difficult to remember this. He didn't find it difficult, he was a bit ashamed, I reckon. A ricondurlo sulla buona via degli studi e della dignità, ok? Non poco dovette contribuire Guido Cavalcanti. Guido Cavalcanti, being a friend, he told him to watch out, you know, and says, go sulla retta via, you know, follow the right way. Don't give yourself, you know, have some dignity in life. Oh well. Che gli diresse un sonetto severo e insieme affettuoso. So Cavalcanti wrote about Dante, we're going to come to it, ove più che censurare l'amico, lo mette in guardia contro il deplorevole regresso spirituale cui lo vede abbandonato. So he had a spiritual regression, Dante, and Guido Cavalcanti writes of him, I vegno il giorno a te infinite volte e trovo te pensar troppo vilmente. Allora mi dol della gentil tua mente ed assai tue virtù che ti son tolte. I'll translate this. I come to the day to you many times during the day because they lived in Florence. You know, in piazza, etc. E trovate pensare troppo vilmente. And I see you thinking like a plebeian, you know what I mean? Then it hurts me to see that your genteel mind and your many virtues have been taken away from you. What are you doing, boy? Wake up! But this was nicely said. Guido Cavalcanti. Dante si dedicò allora agli studi filosofici, so Dante listened to Guido Cavalcanti and began the studies of philosophy. Sposò l'attenzione alle condizioni e volse l'attenzione alle condizioni politiche della città. And then he said, I want to help the people. So he looked at what the people were doing and what needed to be done for the people of Florence. So he was a political animal as well. You know, he was. You pay a high price for it sometimes. Di circa 30 anni, around 30 years old, sposò Gemma di Manetto Donati. He married Gemma di Manetto Donati, da cui ebbe certamente 2 figli. So he had 2 children, Piero e Jacopo, mentre si dubita se Antonio e Beatrice fossero 2 figlie distinte oppure Beatrice sia il nome assunto dalla stessa Antonia nel monacarsi a Ravenna. So I'm not sure here. They said there were two children, Piero e Jacopo, mentre se Antonio, so you know, he had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. And then this Beatrice, could it be the same person? Because she became a nun. Antonia nel monacarsi a Ravenna, so that's where Dante ended up. And I think she looked after him. Again, not quite sure yet. Quanto all'attività politica svolta da Dante, occorre naturalmente riferirsi alle contemporanee condizioni e vicende di Firenze e d'Italia. So as far as his politics were concerned, we have to look at the history of the local, you know, areas, you know, around Florence, in the region and in Italy and Europe as a whole. Caduta la potenza degli Svevi in seguito alla battaglia di following the Battle of Benevento in 1266, the Svevi, I think the German. I'm not quite sure here. la potenza degli Svevi, so the empire of the Svevi. Okay, this it must be the German empire. Tornò a prevalere il partito guelfo, so the Guelph party after this battle of Benevento in 1266, the Guelph party, a bit like our Labour Party people, you know, the left, on the left, for the people, the Ghibellini were more on the aristocratic side. Or am I wrong? With the Guelph, with the aristocratic side? Who knows? We've got to find out. So that's where Dante comes in. He always draws you into something else that you have to learn. Ok, in Firenze tornò a prevalere il partito guelfo, il quale però, venuto a mancare la necessità di tenersi saldo contro gli avversari, ormai prostrati, si scisse in due parti. So once the opposition to the Guelph, the Ghibellines, were given up, you know, it's like the liberals now, totally in disarray. So what happens is that it actually, the Ghibelline, the Guelph party doubled up. No, so I'm wrong. It's like in the government now, if it divides up into two, because there's no opposition. When there's no opposition, an opposition gets created from within. Si scisse due parti. Quella bianca, so the white Guelphs, che faceva capo a Vieri dei Cerchi. We've heard of this Cerchi, family Cerchi. Vieri dei Cerchi was the leader of that, e caldeggiava una politica autonoma di fronte al papato, and the Guelphs wanted to be autonomous in terms of what they did for Florence, by not following the directions of the Pope. So they went clerical in a way. E indulgente verso i Ghibellini, and they were indulgent towards the Ghibellines, e quella nera, and there was also, in other words, he says, the Ghibellines have lost, but, you know, they're still Florentines, you know, so we're not going to go hard on them. E quella nera, the black one, diretta da Corso Donati, la quale aveva mire opposte, and Corso Donati's part, the black part of the Guelphs, they had different directions. So in other words, they wanted to go with the Pope, and they wanted to punish the Ghibellines even more. Dante si schierò fra i bianchi, so Dante being a good left-wing, right-wing person, e poiché i democratici ordinamenti di giustizia emanati nel 1293 da Giano della Bella escludevano dal priorato quei nobili che non fossero iscritti a qualcuna delle arti, Dante, per poter partecipare alla vita politica, si iscrisse all'arte dei medici e speziali. So Dante, you had to become part of a union in order to join the Guelph party of the whites. So he went with the Medici e Speziali. Coprì varie cariche, di conseguente decisiva fu per la sua vita l'essere egli uno dei 6 priori per bimestre 15 giugno, 15 agosto del 1300. Look at it, he was a priore of 6 people that ran the city. He was one of 6, and only for 2 months. Infatti il 23 giugno, vigilia di San Giovanni, bianchi e neri vengono al sangue. So in June they fought each other, these two groups. E i priori, tra cui Dante, decidono di confinare i capi delle due fazioni. So what they said is, we can't have this fighting amongst ourselves, so the leaders get exiled. Guido Cavalcanti dei bianchi fu mandato a Sarzana, ma i neri se l'intesero col pontefice Bonifacio VIII, Boniface VIII was the Pope, il quale aveva già in occasione di tumulti di poco anteriori inviato a Firenze il cardinale d'Acqua Sparta in veste di paciere, ma in realtà per preparare il terreno alle sue mire ambiziose, poiché pretendeva di impadronirsi della città appoggiandosi sul testamento della contessa Matilde di Canossa. Volendo prevenire un altro intervento di Papa Bonifacio, i fiorentini gli inviarono un'ambasceria di cui fece parte Dante, ma il 1° novembre del 1301 Carlo di Valois, fratello di Filippo il Bello, re di Francia, entrava in Firenze d'accordo col pontefice e ristabiliva il predominio dei neri, lasciando libero sfogo alle loro vendette. So the Pope invited Filippo il Bello, Philip the Beautiful, the King of France, Emperor of France, said, go to Florence and quell the tumult. And they took, the Pope Boniface went with the Guelph on the side of the black side, and the French Emperor came in and said, okay, we're going to back up the black side of the Guelph party. And so they did the young out, and also they then allowed the black people, the black side, to take vengeance against those that had gone against them before them. Amongst those was Dante. Cominciarono allora le proscrizioni e le condanne. Dante, che forse non era ancora rientrato dalla sua ambasceria, he had not come back from Rome because he was there as an ambassador for Florence before before the king arrived and took it over. Per un decreto del podestà, canto del Gabriele da Gubbio, il podestà is like the Lord Mayor of Florence, in data 27 gennaio, on the 27th of January 1302, venne fama pubblica riferente. So he allowed, this was a public announcement. Imputato di baratteria, cioè esercizio fraudolento di cariche pubbliche. So Dante refused this in hell. He says, I wasn't a barattiere at all. Because some people, in other words, he was accused of fraudulent exercise of a public office. In other words, he made money out of it or whatever. He was corrupted. E di maneggi contro il Papa, and also he had gone against the Pope, Carlo di Valois, the king, e la parte Guelfa, and the black party of the Guelph, because he was a white Guelph. E fu condannato in contumacia, in absentia, ad una multa di 5.000 fiorini piccoli. He was charged with 5,000 small, silver coins, I suppose. Fiorini piccoli. So he was given a monetary punishment, non essendo combattuto, but because he didn't show up, because he was ambassador, con altro decreto del 10 marzo, on the 10th of March, 2 months later, venne condannato ad essere arso vivo. He was condemned to be burned at the stake if he fell into the podestà del comune of the Florence, of the city of Florence. Il comune di Firenze, their municipal officers, that sort of thing. Council, the local council. But this was, I suppose it was all right, that's the way they did it. Scacciati da Firenze, i bianchi si unirono ai compatrioti ghibellini, esuli già da tempo, e non una sola volta tentarono di rientrare nella città con le armi. Dante fece causa comune con loro, ma poi si sdegnò contro la compagnia malvagia e scempia, tutta ingrata, tutta matta ed empia, e si glorierà di aversi fatta parte per se stesso. Even though the whites then, many times they had an incursion against the comune di Firenze, but they didn't succeed, and Dante didn't agree with them, so he said, "No, I'm done with you guys. I'm not going to attack Florence, etc., etc." And then later, in his writings, he says that was a very good decision of mine to withdraw from my party. And this is in Paradiso, chapter 17. So, profondamente disilluso andò per le parti quasi tutte alle quali questa lingua si stende, peregrino, quasi mendicando, e provò, siccome sa di sale lo pane altrui, come è duro calle lo scendere e il salire per altrui scale. So because he was exiled, he had to go up and down those stairs in order to go and to seek refuge with various people in power whom he knew. He was, a well-known personaggio di Firenze, so they respected him somewhere else. Okay, I'm going to stop there because it's 11:55. I've gone 5 minutes over, but I wanted to put a bit of, I wanted to explain it properly as well, and that's what I've done there. Okay, so that's that. That's the beginning of Dante. Now, what do I do here? I'll do this. Wait a minute. Oh, I suppose I'll be fine. I'll know. Okay, so that's that. Now drink. That was a long one, wasn't it? Now before I got to Parla Speak, I'm going to do one of the songs. The first song. This one here is Fedora Mingarelli, sang it in 1938. So it's a long, but it's a beautiful song. It's called Un'ora sola ti vorrei. C'è nel mio cuore quando mi guardi tu un desiderio che non mi lascia più. Freme la vita mia vicino a te, mi scordo il mondo e tu lo sai perché. See, when you first start, it doesn't come to you straight away. Okay? C'è nel mio cuore quando mi guardi tu un desiderio che non mi lascia più. Freme la vita mia vicino a te, mi scordo il mondo e tu lo sai perché. Un'ora sola ti vorrei, io che non so scordarmi mai, per dirti ancora coi baci miei che cosa sei per me. Un'ora sola ti vorrei, per dirti quello che non sai, ed in quest'ora donerei la vita mia per te. Solo in quest'ora vive un'eternità, fammi sognar e tutto dimenticar, dammi l'incanto che non ebbe ancor, il desiderio che tormenta il cuor. Un'ora sola ti vorrei, io che non so scordarmi mai, per dirti ancora nei baci miei che cosa sei per me. Un'ora sola ti vorrei, per dirti quello che non sai, ed in quest'ora donerei la vita mia per te. This would be beautiful. Then you could do this chorus one a few times. You should put the music in it. Just lovely. It's Un'ora sola ti vorrei. It's a wonderful song. Okay, now we continue from last week. We continue giochiamo, okay? Giochiamo, let's play. Andiamo sull'altalena. Vieni sul castello. No, è meglio l'acqua scivolo. C'è una gara di nuoto, allora facciamo una passeggiata. Sai pattinare? Ho i pattini, sto imparando. I'm going to show you. Okay, this is the one. Andiamo sul taglio. Let's go on the swings. Come on the monkey bars. No, the water slide is better. There is a swimming competition. Then let's go for a walk. Do you know how to skate? I've got skates, I'm learning. Ok? Oggi piove, stiamo dentro. Niente giochi all'aperto. Stiamo al coperto. Per questo gioco fate un cerchio. Voi giocate a carte. Voi due giocate a scacchi. Loro giocano a dama. I giochi da cartellone. Dove sono i dadi? Tocca a te, tu butta il dado. So this one here, okay, let's have a look. I'll read English. Let's go on the swings. Come on the monkey bars, that's sul castello. Vieni sul castello. I don't know, monkey bars, a castello. Well, it's more like a castle. Anyway, doesn't matter. No, è meglio l'acqua scivola. No, the water slide is better. C'è una gara di nuoto. There's a swimming competition. Then let's go for a walk. allora facciamo una passeggiata. Do you know how to skate? Sai pattinare? O i pattini sto imparando. So here you got the opportunity to write in Italian some short sentences using these phrases. And you can write the first paragraph or many paragraphs emanating from this Speak Parla Speak activity. Ok, oggi piove, stiamo dentro. Today it's raining, we stay inside. No outside, niente giochi all'aperto. No outside games, siamo al coperto. Let's stay undercover. For this game, form a circle. Fate un cerchio. Voi giocate a carte. Voi due giocate a scacchi, chess. Loro giocano a dama, drafts. I giochi da cartellone, board games. Dove sono i dadi? Where are the dice? It's your turn, throw the die. Ok, and then we got pronti per la partita. Chi fa da arbitro? Tocca alla signora Madama. Ecco il fischietto. Niente gioco pesante, solo gioco corretto. Durante la partita non si fischia, non si grida, non si spinge, non si danno calci. Mi ha dato una spintone, lui mi ha dato pizzicotti e tu gli hai dato un pugno e in futuro niente mani addosso. So, get ready for the game. Who's the umpire? It's Mrs. M's turn. Here's the whistle. No rough play, only fair. During the game, don't whistle, don't shout, don't push, don't kick. He gave me a push, he pinched me, and you punched him. In future, no touching. So there you are. Now, as I said, Speak Parla Speak is a wonderful book because it allows you to actually pick out some short phrases to add to your other ones that you will create yourself. And by mixing it up, it's a wonderful activity, linguistic activity. There are many ways you can use Speak Parla Speak. Okay, and you can create your own also sentences. Now, the next one is, what will I do? I'll do parliamo, yeah, let me do on the unification of Italy. Okay. Now, when the unification of Italy occurred, there were great problems in the whole of the peninsula. There was a linguistic problem. There was transport problem. There were other, the weights and measures and etc., many. But amongst all these, something that Italy could produce came really handy, and that was the production of electricity. L'Italia non ha carbon fossil, doesn't have coal, you know, there's no mines for coal in Italy. Ma ha nei ghiacciai alpini enormi riserve d'acqua, but in the Alps they've got enormous water storage in terms of ice. But lately, you know, we've got a problem with climate change, so I'm not sure how much of the ice has been lost already. Now, la forza di quest'acqua era stata nel passato per far funzionare I mulini. In the past, this water was used to work I mulini, the mills, for production of flour. Ma ora, the problem was to transform this force and transport it to the big cities. How do you do this? That's where, you know, electricity comes in. Questo problema fu risolto verso la fine del 1800 grazie alle invenzioni degli italiani Pacinotti e Ferraris. So this guy, I'd never heard of these people, but towards the end of the 18th century, la fine del 1800, toward the end of 1800, the year 1800, thanks to the inventions of Pacinotti e Ferraris and of the German Siemens, vennero costruite speciali macchine per trasformare l'acqua. So they built special machines in order to transform the water into electric energy. Fantastic. Queste invenzioni favorirono la nascita di grandi industrie. So this invention allowed for the big industries to flourish. Altri ancora furono i doni dell'elettricità. Nelle strade cominciarono a circolare i primi tram elettrici. So the electricity they used to power the trams around the cities. E la notte and at night venne illuminata assai meglio, and the night was lit up so much better than the candles or with the gas. So electricity was a big win for Italy straight after the unification. Now the next one is about communication. Il telegrafo e il telefono. Un'altra meraviglia del secolo fu il telegrafo. Usando l'elettricità, trasmesse per mezzo di fili, l'americano Morse nel 1837 riuscì a trasmettere messaggi a grande distanza, the Morse code, usando il particolare alfabeto fatto di punti e di linee chiamato l'alfabeto Morse. Un italiano, Antonio Meucci, inventò il telefono e poco dopo venne posto il primo cavo telefonico sul fondo dell'Oceano Atlantico per collegare l'Europa con l'America. Ma sia il telegrafo che il telefono avevano bisogno di fili e non potevano essere usati dalle navi. So Antonio Meucci has been given credit in this book here for the telephone, for the invention of the telephone, which Graham Bell really popularized about 15 years after, when Meucci did not pay his fee to maintain the rights to this invention. So Graham Bell did that, and then the rest is history. And Meucci died, as he was born. He didn't die rich at all. But at least he has been, remembered these days in a proper way. Ok. Verso la fine del secolo, nel 1895, Guglielmo Marconi inventò il telegrafo senza fili, da cui poi sarebbe derivata la radio e più tardi la televisione. Così le navi potevano comunicare tra loro e con la terraferma e la navigazione divenne più sicura. Okay, so far electricity, telephone and telegraph. Now, I'm going to leave it there because I can do the next one next time as well. We've got quite a bit today, and I'll just... the next one is il motore a scoppio. Due italiani, Matteucci e Barsanti, fecero un'altra invenzione, il motore a scoppio. Piccolo e potente esso fu adoperato per le automobili. Verso la fine del secolo fu fondata la fabbrica italiana Automobili Torino, cioè la Fiat came to be around the turn of the century, between the 19th and the 20th century. Il motore a scoppio permise all'uomo di volare. Già nel 1700 l'uomo aveva provato a volare con gli aerostati, grandi palloni pieni di un gas più leggero dell'aria, che riuscivano a sollevare nel cielo una navicella. Essa però veniva trascinata di qua e di là dal vento. Dapprima con l'invenzione del motore a scoppio, l'uomo volò con i dirigibili, poi questo motore, reso più potente, riuscì a far sollevare dal suolo un apparecchio più pesante dell'aria, l'aeroplano. So this, the motors for cars and for aeroplanes and everything else came to be at the end of the 19th century, early 20th century in Italy. And these four, inventions or developments helped unify Italy a lot more. Okay, so that's that. And now, I've done two, no? we deserve another song. This one is a beautiful song. It's called Il Mondo. Okay? I'll drink first to you. Again, the lyrics, if you look up your Google on your phone, go to Google, put in Il Mondo lyrics, and they come up for you. Ok? No, stanotte amore non ho più pensato a te, ho aperto gli occhi per guardare intorno a me, e intorno a me girava il mondo come sempre. Gira il mondo, gira nello spazio senza fine, con gli amori appena nati, con gli amori già finiti, con la gioia e col dolore della gente come me. Oh mondo, soltanto adesso io ti guardo, nel tuo silenzio io mi perdo e sono niente accanto a te. Il mondo non si è fermato mai un momento, la notte insegue sempre il giorno ed il giorno verrà. Stanotte, amore mio, non ho più pensato a te, ho aperto gli occhi per guardare intorno a me, e intorno a me girava il mondo come sempre. Gira il mondo, gira nello spazio senza fine, con gli amori appena nati, con gli amori già finiti, con la gioia e col dolore della gente come me. Oh mondo, soltanto adesso io ti guardo, nel tuo silenzio io mi perdo e sono niente accanto a te. Il mondo non si è fermato mai un momento, la notte insegue sempre il giorno ed il giorno verrà. Il mondo non si è fermato mai un momento, la notte insegue sempre il giorno ed il giorno verrà. Stanotte, amore, non ho più pensato a te. Oh, stanotte, amore, non ho più pensato a te. A te. Why is that? Il mondo non si è fermato mai un momento. La notte insegue sempre il giorno ed il giorno verrà. But stanotte, amore, non ho più pensato a te. A te. Perché? Well, that's a good one. That's a good song. It's the first time I've actually read the lyrics and sung them. So as you can see, you know, with the lyrics, the chorus part is easy. The other part, sometimes between the first and the second stanza, it's hard. But this is the learning and teaching of Italian, so we are interested in the words, in the lyrics of these songs. Very important. Now, I've got here, I didn't put my poems this time. Oh well, what's the time? 12:30. I better do the Roman Empire first. Okay. My songs my poems can wait. Can they wait? Where are they? Where are they? Where are my poems? Doesn't matter. We'll go straight to Rome. Remember last week we did Androcolo e Leone, huh? Interesting. But this time here, I'm going to start with in the amphitheater. So as I said to you, the Italian language came from the Latin. We never hear Latin spoken. So here we are. This is these are two little scenes in Latin. Here we are. And that's the way that's it there. See that? Okay. Now I've got a difficulty. If I show it to you, then I won't be able to read it properly. But I'm going to try. Okay. Licinius celiusque duo spectatores in amphitheatro sedentes inter se locuuntur. Licinius says, Ecce in arenem veniunt bestiari, scisne quod sint. Celius, minime vero, scisne tu quod leones, quod tigres adsint. Ego audivi multos leones ingentes ab Africa allatos esse et sub arena in caveis teneri. Intra postumius quisero venire solet. Postumius, video principem, iam advenisse et a civibus salutari. Celius, ecce iam bestiari eum salutant, eu sunt se moriturus esse. Tacete audio bestias, videtisne leones in arenam imitti. Ecce bestiam immanis, servo ille nunquam parcet, iam pugnare incipiunt euge. Euge at constitit leo, miror cur leo constiterit. Nun credis eum revera constituisse, pro cerbo abeo eum mox impetum, ferocitur facturum esse. At video leonem lente e placide domini apropinquantem, me Hercule vidi cum manus hominus lingua labentem, scio leonem esse saevi simum, nesce cur hominem non accidet, vidisne num serum leonum spectatem timere non videtur. Vedo servum a principe accessitum, ecco, mirror quid dicat. So I'm going to stop there today. The Latin is coming, it's a bit difficult now. So let's go to opposition to the games. And if I got time, I'll read the other bit. Yeah, thank you very much. But I've got they're ringing me up from the radio. Anyway, never mind. I'll be there. Don't worry. Opposition to the games. Sometimes high-born Romans were so enthusiastic about the combats in the arena that they took part themselves as gladiators. The Roman poet Juvenal and Romans generally strongly disapproved. A lot of the Romans didn't like the games. There in the arena you have a disgrace to the city. Gracchus fighting not in the arms of a myrmidon with a shield and sabre, for he scorns and rejects such equipment, nor does he hide his face with a visor. Look, it's a trident he sports. He shakes his trailing net in his right hand, casts and misses. Then he holds up his naked face for all to see, and runs frantically around the whole arena, easily recognizable. One of the leaders of Rome wanted to fight in the Colosseum with the gladiators. Then there's another one. Some Romans protested the brutality of gladiatorial shows. Seneca, another very important Roman writer, Seneca writes about the midday interval between the morning and afternoon sessions. In this interval, criminals were forced to fight in the arena until everyone was dead. So, if you went in there, you could expect to die. By chance, I attended a midday exhibition expecting some fun, wit and relaxation, that's Seneca. An exhibition at which men's eyes have respite from the slaughter of their fellow men. But it was quite the reverse. The previous combats were the essence of compassion, but now all the trifling is by put aside, and it is pure murder. Okay, the previous combats were the essence of, the men have no defensive armour. They are exposed to blows at all points, and no one ever strikes in vain. Many persons prefer this program to the usual pairs and to the bouts by request. Of course they do. There's no helmet or shield to deflect the weapon. What is need of defensive armour or of skill? All this mean delaying death. In the morning, they throw men to the lions and the bears. At noon, they throw them to the spectators. The spectators demand that the slayer shall face the man who is to slay him in his turn. And they always reserve the latest conqueror for another butchering. The outcome of every fight is death, and it means fire and sword. The outcome of every fight is death, and the means of fire and sword. So after Seneca and others came out against the institution of the games, amongst those were Christian writers such as Tertullian and Augustine. The Emperor Constantine made a decree of abolition, but this seems not to have been enforced. Gladiatorial shows were finally suppressed by Honorius, Emperor of the West, AD 395-423, though the blood sport in the arena continued for several centuries after this. So the games, wasn't all smooth sailing for the people who organised the games. There was some opposition. Okay, so that's well, that's it. Okay, now we've got Living the Amphitheatre. I'll just read this one here, okay? Shall I just listen to the words, see if you can pick up some words in Italian. Licinius says, non poteram intellegere cur leo impetum non faceret. Mirum quidem erat spectaculum. Audivi leonem a principi homini dari. Ita vero sed ecce petus venit, salve pete. Okay, well, that's it there. I'm trying to work out, it's probably a good idea to learn some Latin. Audivi leonem a principi homini dari, ita vero sed ecce petus venit, salve pete, cur hunc tantum clamorem facitis, hoc vix credes, vidimus leonem bestiam servissimam servi manus lambentem, nescimus cur manus non devoraverit. Quid non audivistis causam? Leo ille sensit se hominem antea vidisse. Homo principi naravit, quomodo stirpem olim e pede leonis extraxisset. Naravit se et lenum in Africa si edem spelunco prene. So this obviously got to do with the story of Andronicus in Africa. Si quid non audivistis causam, leo ille insensit se hominem antea vidisse, homo principe naravit quomodo stirpem olim e pede leonis, il piede, no? That's what I'm trying to work out. Naravit se et leonem in Africa in edem spelunca is the cave, 3 annos habitavisse, they lived in there for 3 years. Ubi captus es putavit se nunquam iterum leonem visurum esse, nescebat quo leo isset, agite sero est, esurio domum redeamus, fortasse videbimus servum leonem per via ducentem. In other words, cavea is the cage. Iman is huge. Mirror. That's it there. Okay, well, I think that's it. Done for the Latin. But there is another song, and then I'll do the song last. Money in Rome. The earliest kind of Roman money was a rough bar of copper or bronze with an ox or cow on it. The Latin word for money, pecunia, comes from pecus, the word for cattle. Pecunia, pecuniary in English, comes from pecunia in Latin. The first type of round coin was called an S grave. It was made of bronze. On one side was the two-headed god Janus, and on the other a ship. After 200 BC, before Christ, silver coins were brought in, the denarius and later the sestertius. Denarius. During the empire, a gold coin, the aureus, came into use. Emperors usually had their portraits on coins. This one is of Augustus. This one here of Augustus. Little coins, like we have now. Political events were sometimes recorded on coins. The two sides of this coin referred to the murder of Julius Caesar on the Ides of March. Military conquests and other achievements, such as the building of the Colosseum, appeared on the reverse side of a coin. That's it. So that's for money. How good were they, yeah? Well, I've done so far the introduction, the early history. We've done city life, shopping. There's quite a lot here. The next one will be a townhouse, in the kitchen, eating, drinking, whatever. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And now there's one more song, La Nostra Favola, and this is, of course, made famous by Tom Jones, called Delilah in English. But in English, the English one is totally different in translation from the Italian, because the English one, I saw the light on the night that I passed by a window. I saw the flickering shadows of love on her blind. She was my woman. As she deceived me, I watched and went out of my mind. But in Italian, it's totally different. Here, Delilah gets killed. But in Italian, it's la nostra favola, è a fable. C'era una volta un bianco castello fatato, un grande mago l'aveva stregato per noi. Sì, io ti amavo, tu eri la mia regina ed io il tuo re. Mai, mai, mai ti lascio, mai, mai, mai da sola. E per noi mai niente più cambierà, tu sarai sempre regina ed io il tuo re. Quattro pareti più grigie del fumo di un treno, questo è il castello che io posso fare per te. Sì, tu mi ami come se fossi per te un vero re. Mai, mai, mai ti lascio, mai, mai, mai da sola. E per noi il tempo si fermerà, tu sarai sempre regina ed io il tuo re. Come se fossi per te un vero re. Mai, mai, mai ti lascio, mai, mai, mai da sola. E per noi il tempo si fermerà, tu sarai sempre regina ed io il tuo re. Tu sarai sempre regina ed io il tuo re. See, you'll always be my queen and I'll be your king. But, you know, in English is, forgive me, Delilah, I just couldn't take it anymore, so he killed her. The Italian version is a lot better, of course. But, you know, they're both here, and I'm done for today because it's 12:30 and they've called me for the radio a couple of times already, anxious. But I would like to thank you very much for coming on and at least, you know, watching a bit of it. I enjoyed these Italian lessons because also it's opened up the doors to Latin and the Roman Empire in a bigger way than before. And after I finished with my Italian lessons this year at lesson number 60, we are at lesson number 56 now. I will then take a break and maybe I'll look at some of these things here and come back then in the new year with new material. Okay. On that note, grazie mille. Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate anyone who comes on whilst I'm actually doing it live. And now this particular program will go on live on Facebook and you'll be able to watch it there and listen to it again. Okay, and go up and down as you wish to the parts that you want. All right, or the whole lot. Preferably when you're cooking. Okay. Ciao, arrivederci. Alla prossima settimana. And there we finish. Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers.